on the other one, you bastard!
We all know that The Last Knight was a terrible toy line, ridiculously so. The engineering was probably a little bit better than Age of Extinction, and that level of quality with said engineering acted as the springboard for the Studio Series line that we have today. But it was a bit of a shit show, and years later we're still trying to pick up the pieces for the characters that weren't made, asking for redos in the Studio Series line. But we're not discussing Chug and Studio Series, today we're discussing Legions. The Last Knight was a return to form, because after taking a break in Age of Extinction, probably because the toy designers didn't know what to do with such incomprehensible character designs, they finally came back with new molds. Well, the first wave was old and the second and third waves were new. And one figure in the line consistently gets hate. Well, not actually consistently. Come to think of it, I think I'm the only one who remembers it exists. But at least when it first came out, this figure was shat upon consistently. A lot of use of the word consistently today. I do have a habit of reusing words. Point is, everyone hated Hound, but did he deserve it? I mean, what could they do with that character model? It's very difficult to get it to work. So, how did it work? So in vehicle mode, Hound is compromised. Now don't get me wrong, I don't think this is a bad alternate mode. For starters, it's a Legion figure. What are you gonna do? Some things have to be sacrificed in certain areas. And secondly, have you seen the Age of Extinction and Last Knight designs? Especially with the Autobots, none of them look like they can transform. You look at Hound and he's basically impossible. No vehicle kibble visible at all. It is a farce of a design. So the fact that they managed to only sacrifice it this much is commendable. That being said, the first thing you're gonna notice is the lack of paint. Most of the paint was prioritized for the robot mode, so there's a lot missing here. Nothing on the front. That is a bit of a bummer. I mean, I get that they have budgets, but they really should have put some there. I would have gladly gotten rid of the orange on the missiles and replaced it with some black on the windows. Speaking of, yes, the arms are completely visible. But again, the design is so impractical that this is basically all they could do. In fact, Age of Extinction didn't even bother making Legion figures for any of their characters. They just reused previous molds. So this is a compromise. This is all they're able to do at the size and at the budget, and it's alright. The sculpt work is absolutely to die for. There is so much mechanical detail, ignoring the arms. Yes, we know the arms are there. The light bar, the front of the truck is amazing, and even though these are the legs back here, they surprisingly fit in quite well. I don't think it's a bad alt mode. I do think it's a slightly disappointing and very much compromised alt mode, but it's not bad. I understand the limitations of the size class, I understand what they're trying to do, and I can give it a lot of credit for that. I mean, obviously, compared to your standard design that is much more based in reality, because that's not based in reality with no vehicle kibble. Yeah, other vehicle modes are gonna look better, but this is alright, I perfectly understand. But I suppose that brings us to the size comparisons, with a standard Legion figure, a standard Legends figure, a standard Earthrise Micromaster, and Crumbs. And of course, before I forget, because I've constantly forgotten and had to refilm certain sections, he is 6 centimeters long, 2.5 centimeters wide, and 4 centimeters tall. The transformation is Legion class simple. Given the parts count that they're limited to, they couldn't really do anything crazy complex. The arms unpeg and move to the sides, the chest unpegs from the feet like so, you bring this whole front section down a bit, the head pops out of there, the torso clips into place there, and you separate the legs, and you've got Hound. And in robot mode, honestly, this is quite the miracle. The fact they were able to make this work at all is absolutely astonishing, given how bullshit the design in the movie is. The robot mode was clearly the priority here, and he is, well, as good as you can get at the scale, without getting rid of the transformation entirely, of course, which many companies would like to, given how bullshit it is. It's a brilliant little combination of paintwork and sculpt work. Taking a look at the chest especially, my word, that is a lot of sculpted detail. They really went all out there. And their head at the size is basically as good as you can get. It's nice and gruff, but with that cheeky smile underneath that John Goodman is known for. In fact, in general, it represents the actor John Goodman very well, although not if you were doing 10 Cloverfield Lane, that would be horrifying. More the Sully type. The arms, as well, as I've said, they look magnificent with painted missiles. Would have gladly gotten rid of the painted missiles in favor of some painted windshields. Or maybe would have gotten rid of these feet over here, which are made of tires. Well, not tires, because those are the tires there and those are fake tires. But basically the entire robot is fake, because it has to be. It is such an impractical design. So I'm looking at this, and I'm wondering, there's nothing wrong with this guy. At least in robot mode anyway. He is as good as you can get in this robot mode. Even the back works remarkably well. Yes, you've got the entire back of the alt mode there, but it's a Legends figure, what are you gonna do? So I have to wonder, why was he hated so much? Well, quite simply, he was released in Wave 3, and you know who else came out in Wave 3? Why, Dragonstorm, of course. And in all honesty, this is the only only good Dragonstorm figure on the market. You take a look at the leader and bleh, and then there's One Steps and other gimmick-based toys that I won't get into. This is the only good example of Dragonstorm, and everyone went crazy over him, and they were somewhat disappointed with how Hound turned out. Plus, before it, we got practically the best Legion Megatron we've ever gotten. This Megatron is amazing. So amazing that when I accidentally bought it twice, I didn't sell off the other one. So between him and between Dragonstorm, he kind of fell through the cracks. And Megatron, yeah, I get, Megatron's amazing, you can't really compete with that. But for Dragonstorm, I think Hound is a little better. That robot mode is amazing, and he has to do a lot more than Dragonstorm has to, which is just turn into a dragon. Don't get me wrong, I like Dragonstorm, but Hound is more ambitious. Hound is tasked with an impossible task, and he succeeds in it, which is incredibly commendable. I just realized I forgot to film the articulation. He's got ball-jointed arms and ball-jointed legs. Easy as that. Now, in terms of his dimensions, Hound is 4.5 centimeters by 5.5 centimeters. He's also pretty standard for your average Legion figure because they had to pack so many parts to make this feel like a dense robot. And of course, for other size comparisons, here he is next to a standard Legends figure, a standard Earthrise Micromaster, and Crumbs. So if I had to pick 2 words to describe him, Mad Lad would be very appropriate. Since Aaron Archer left, Hasbro kind of stopped asking ILM to make cohesive robot design, so ILM went off the rails, and then Hasbro was forced to pick up the pieces, especially with Hound over here. And the fact he turns out amazingly is incredibly commendable. It's also hilarious that he turned out better than Drift when Drift has far fewer faux parts on the on-screen model, yet they went all faux parts and kind of f***ed him over. But that is another story for another time. I'm gonna be honest with you, I do not get the hate for this figure. Yeah, the alt mode's been a little bit compromised, but there have been great Legion figures with compromised alt modes in the past. And the engineering is still great on this. The detail on this thing is to die for, and the paint helps accentuate it a little bit. Would have loved some black paint on the window, but I'll take it. Ultimately, he's a fun little Hound, and he does the best with what he's given. I do think most of the problems lie with the on-screen model and not with the toy itself. They're doing the best they can, and the fact they got this to work at all, well, it's a miracle. A fat ballerina miracle. So really, I can't see any reason not to pick this up if you like the way it looks or are a fan of the character. It's not one you absolutely need to get, but if you see him, just grab him, it's fine. But tomorrow we're bringing things down a bit and doing something out of obligation. I've almost reviewed every small-scale figure in the Power of the Primes line, and we got one left, so I guess we gotta do this.